Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci of NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on NLL Lacrosse Talk, our co-host Gary Groob, and our very special guest, Hall of Famer and Netherlands head coach, Wayne Colley. Wayne, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
It's totally our pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. We apologize for not having the full hour. We had some technical difficulties, in case people are wondering. It was totally just one of those things that you have once in a while. So we appreciate your patience, Wayne. Truly do.
Not a problem whatsoever.
All right, Wayne, first of all, we always ask the most important question when it comes to lacrosse and people who are on this show. Why lacrosse? How did it happen?
How did it happen? Well, first I got to correct you on one thing. I'm not the head coach of the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
I'm a co-coach, but on paper I'm an assistant coach with Neil Palace and Archie Schlesinger over in the Netherlands.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, no problem. Just in case they're listening and following this, I just wanted to cause a stir that way either.
No, my mistake, guys. He's not trying to steal your power. Besides, I had a conversation with him earlier. He doesn't want that power. He's happy where he is.
I'm just the ball jockey.
There you go. So how did you get started?
I got started when I was a kid. I never had a home life like everybody else had. And I was trying to, my mom was trying to keep us off the streets. So our neighbors across the street, they played lacrosse. And they got us involved, and I grew up in Whitby, and the people kept us off the streets and encouraged us to go down to the outdoor boxes, and that's how we got started.
And what kept you in it?
The technicality. I really enjoyed the how hard it was to catch and pass a ball, and that type of thing, and I enjoyed the play. I liked being outdoors at the time. And it just rolled from there.
And the transition from player to coach?
The transition from player to coach, well, I had a lot of great coaches. And I always wanted to put something back into the game. And I did, and I still am to this day.
Okay, you're going to get fried now. Here goes Gary.
Let's go way back because we can talk about your junior career. You spent 1 year with the Gales, and then I believe it was Whitby, wasn't it? And you excelled because you had the best average goals against average for junior A in 76, 77, and 78. Let's talk a little bit about those teams and the programs.
Okay, what happened was I lived in Whitby at the time, and they had a bunch of goalies that were there, and I asked for a 1-year release to go over to play for Oshawa to get an opportunity to play junior right out of midget. And they granted me my wish, and the general manager was Jim Brady from Whitby, and he allowed me to go over there. But then I had to come back after my first year junior, and I had a great time. But in the meantime, my mom bought a house in Oshawa, and I wanted to stay in Oshawa, but because of the 1-year release stuff, they made me go back to Whitby. And Jim Brady told me to make the team, I got to beat 2 of those 3 guys that were standing over at the other end of the arena. And I said, well, I think I'll do better than that. I'll take number 1 spot if I given the opportunity. And being a young, cocky jockey, I just went in net and never left it. Those 3 guys shared the other end.
Wow. Now you jump from junior, you go to the Brooklyn Redmen, and from 79 to 90, you tended goal for them. And what a career there.
Well, there was a step in between. When I was in my last year junior, Philadelphia in the professional league, before it folded, had first pick overall, and we had made negotiations, and I was going to be the first pick overall in the pro league in 1978. And I was going to go to Philadelphia, and they folded it. And then my attitude totally changed towards lacrosse, playing for the Redmen. So I basically sat out my first year in 1979 because I'm not going anywhere, and I was thinking about starting a family and getting married and the whole 9 yards, which hurts a lot of people. But we carried on to the Redmen and started. Basically, I started in 1980.
Right. Well, thank God you did. Look at the career. Won the Man Cup in 87, 88, and 90.
85, 85.
Yeah, 85. Oh, 85. You also won the Mike Kelly Award, right?
Yeah, that was a good year.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about those teams, though. Just
Well, with those teams, we had a great group of guys that it's not like today where you had to be sort of begged to come out to practice and stuff like that. All our guys, they showed up and basically controlled the practices because if you missed one, the players would get all over their ends about not being there. And we excelled. In 1980, we played in that World Cup in Vancouver. And it was the race to 5 where we had the most points in 5 games, got to represent Ontario. And then they had the Canada West. That was Canada East. They had Canada West. And then they had Australia. And, oh, my God, I just did that. The Natives were there. There's a bunch of teams that was representing the world for the World Cup. Not like it is today. But and then we got into the 85s, and we were so young and naive. We didn't know any better, and we just went gung-ho, and away we went.
Right. Now, so you hit the ground running because you won the Harry Lumley Trophy, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 or 6 times for the best goals against, right? Fewest goals let in.
Yeah, but you got to have a team in front of you to get that. Just not on my shoulders, but there was other goalies that were part of our team, and we shared that as a group, and with a great team, and we had a number of super coaches that instilled how to get to there, and to this day, I bring their knowledge onto when I coach.
Right. Now, looking at Whopper's Bible, they have you listed as number 5 on the all-time games played list for the Brooklyn club at 193 and 240 assists. That's astounding.
Yeah, the game's changed. They used to run up and down the floor, whereas now they just run to a bench door and they run out the other end and run to a bench door and run the other end. And you don't see too many goalies getting assists at all because they're just taught to throw the ball to where they're supposed to a dot on the floor, and they race up the center and they pass it off and then do their thing. So I got to say it's not the fastest game on 2 feet anymore.
Right. Now, we've had guys like Dave Durrani on here and a few others. We've talked about the transition game and, both sides of the ball. I'm assuming that when you played, you would prefer to keep that kind of style, right, where you play both sides of the ball as opposed to pigeonholing everybody.
100%. That's why they had fans. Like when I played junior, we had a full house all the time. And then when we played Brooklyn, the small arena up there, that was filled to the rafters. And the fire department was already, always on the rear end about having too many people in the arena. But, that was the thing back then.
Right.
Whereas now, like, your NLL teams, your higher or mid attendance average is not even peaking at 9,000 people. Like I seen a Toronto game the other night, they only had 8,900 people, which is sad.
Yeah.
Sad for the game of lacrosse.
Right. And that's improving from what it was when it was sitting in Toronto, which is
totally. And I wish them well. But the banging, head banging music that hurts a lot of your diehards. And where they moved the franchise, some of the top drawing teams are Peterborough and Brooklyn area, and they went on the other side of the city, and people won't make that drive for a night game after, try and get there to watch the game. They just won't make that drive like they did when it was in Toronto.
Right. Now, Frank and I had actually talked when Sakevich was on here about would it make sense to have an NLL franchise now in Oshawa?
It would, anywhere between Oshawa and Peterborough, because I think that that's probably the hotbed of Canada right now in player development and team wise. Peterborough's done very well up in the Major Series League the last 4 years, I think it was. And Brooklyn's always had a strong team, but it's they need something in this area that Peterborough could, probably host it. They're building a new arena up there. I understand.
Oh, they're building a new arena?
I think they are. I think they're building another arena beside the big complex there.
Well, the reason I said it back then when I was speaking to the commissioner, the ex-commissioner, was because of Toronto moving to Hamilton, right? And that's a big gap for people who don't want to drive that far. And a lot of the Rock fans came from the east end of town, and specifically Whitby, Pickering, even Oshawa.
That's correct.
It's a little harder trek for them now that the game's in Hamilton.
That's correct, but there's never a slow period of driving across Toronto anymore. Like the traffic.
Well, that's why instead of being 2.5 hours, it's 5 hours.
That's correct. That's hurting the game of lacrosse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It would be nice if they did that, but they're kind of. I think I'm not sure, but I'm going to say I believe that the league is looking at it as though Jamie rightfully, who has been a big supporter of the National Lacrosse League, they don't want to hurt his team in the process of trying to start another team. That's me assuming. I don't have any reason. I don't know, Gary. I don't have any reason to say that, but it's an assumption I make. I don't know how you feel about that they don't want to hurt Jamie's investment. And he's been a consistent, long-term, always there for lacrosse guy.
So we'll see. But I love it. Go ahead, Wayne.
Jamie's a great guy.
Right.
Jamie's a great guy, and he's got the right spot where he practices from, his facility, and he's moved to Hamilton, which he's got probably a better deal than what he got in.
Absolutely,
much better deal.
Yeah, much better deal. But if you look at the teams that are down around the Horn, like St. Catharines and coming around to Mississauga, there's not a lot of big powerhouse teams that have been around that area for a long period of time. And that's the people trying to feed into bringing them to a game. And so it's just their, numbers breed numbers. You need to somehow, find a better spot or something, how they did it. I know he tried the buses, he tried the bus people down there. Mm-hmm. He's tried the hotel deals. He's tried all that stuff. And, I wish there was a solution that I could, pass on to him because I want him to succeed.
Right.
Well, maybe if once they really start to get, we have the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Canadian Football League, who, we know, Gary and I know that league very well. And Hamilton does a great job of bringing people out for their football. I don't see why they couldn't do it for their lacrosse. They're doing it also with their soccer team. So I think you discussed the key there. I don't know if you meant to do it, but it was there. It was a subliminal message, I guess, one that I heard, which is trying to foster the game within that community between where he practices and where his team is, that area. If you can foster some interest there, there's a lot of people there, a lot of people who love live sports. And, let's be clear. Lacrosse, the National Lacrosse League is not very expensive. It's not cheap because nothing's really cheap, but the cost is very good, and I know you don't pay for the whole seat, right, Gary? You only pay for the edge anyway. So you can keep that, you can keep that in your hat. So yeah, I really hope, and I hope, because Peterborough, Oshawa, that area could support a team, I think, without affecting Jamie's team in Hamilton.
Well, you got Buffalo down that way too, right? Mm-hmm. So you got Buffalo, Hamilton. If you put a team in the Oshawa area, Oshawa, Peterborough, however you want to say it, Durham region, or however you want to say it. Mm-hmm. I think long term it would be good, but they got to look at some of the big cities that are around. Like they had years ago, they had Detroit, and that was a big draw place down there. Mm-hmm. They had Boston, they had Pittsburgh, they had some of Baltimore. And they got to start looking back at those places, but they've gone to the field lacrosse, so it's going to be hard to change it. And again, it's the product is on the floor. In my opinion, is what drew the people there in the past was because people were running up and down the floor versus running to the bench. You see the same 6 or 7 guys in offense, same 6 or 7 guys on defense, mm-hmm. and they're they got the TV timeouts is right at their perfect location or times when they both offense and defense get tired. so get a little bit of rest, and they go at it again. So it's you know, it's okay, but I think the fans would rather see a goalie throw a long pass and somebody catch it for a breakaway, or see a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1, which you never see anymore in the game. And that's all the stuff that's gone bygone. Like, you know, and, you know, a lot of those defenders, they can shoot the ball as well as an offensive guy, but they don't get the opportunity to.
Right, which also brings into my point, when we pigeonhole kids into offense and defense, we lose a lot of them, because if they're not interested and they're stuck in a position that they don't want to play, we're going to lose them, even though they may blossom later on and bloom.
100%. Like I had a friend of mine drop in today, and his kid quit playing lacrosse because they earmarked him as a defender. He doesn't want to play defense. So why can't he play both ends of the floor? He's only he's 17 years old.
Right.
So he quit in a small town north of Toronto there. So it's like, you know, there's one kid gone, and he was one of the better players growing up.
Right. That's exactly my point. And I agree. I think we should go back to the both sides of the ball thing, and you know, really bring the excitement back into this game.
Well, in some of the rules, and again, I'm not here to knock the NLL whatsoever, but inside the rules, in the rule book, it says, I don't know what a moving pick is anymore, because it's like WWF wrestling, because as long as I can take you down, then the play continues on. If you don't take you down, it's possession call.
Right.
So, you know, and that's good for entertainment, but it's I don't understand the rules myself, and I understand the game of lacrosse.
Right.
Ultimately, what we're talking about here is trying to make, you know, the challenge is they're trying to make lacrosse, the rules, the officiating, all that stuff vertical, right? The same from the bottom to the top, but it doesn't serve as well at the bottom as it does at the top. And I think that's the point you're making, if I'm hearing you right.
100%. 100%. I think that in my personal opinion, I think that they should go back to playing, you know, up and down the floor like they did. And I think I had suggested to the all group when they first got Paul St. John, I suggested that to stop that cheating off the bench, that they got to go the opposite door to make a line change. And he did put that into his program, and it did seem to work. Now, if you read the rule book, the actual rule book states that the player shall be in the player's box in front of the bench area before the player coming onto the floor. He can't touch the floor until that guy's fully in that box. Now, I don't know where they got the 10 to 30 foot
hockey
with both ends of the bench. I don't know where that come in play, but
hockey.
That's not what the rule book says.
Right.
That's hockey. That's the effect of hockey. Because that's basically what they stretch in hockey. Before you know it, the guy will be deep in his own end, and the player will come off the ice as long as he doesn't touch the puck. Yeah, that's something that, you know. Does it make it? Would it make the game more offensive if that was the case? Correct.
100%. Because now you got guys are racing down the floor to get a shot on the other end, which would be the defenders or your transition guys, whatever you want to call them. They get the opportunity to have a 3-on-2, 2-on-1. A breakaway. You don't see that anymore. Like, it's just, and that's the stuff that the fans really want to see or should want to see.
Right. Yeah, that would be the excitement. That's what would get them off the edge of the seat to their feet.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they and again, I'm not here to knock the NLL because they got a great product, but they want to have a 19-17 game versus a 7-6 game. So they widen the great big nets that nobody has the opportunity to hardly stop the ball because there's so much net to cover, but yet they let the goal out with more equipment, and they don't even run from the dressing room onto the floor anymore. They walk to the net. Like, it's just you know, deceiving. Well, and just thought of it as one of the things that I would totally like to see out of the game is them diving across the crease before somebody breaks their neck.
Yeah.
And they're diving from behind the net, and goalies have zero padding on the back of their neck, and somebody's going to seriously get hurt if they keep this up.
Excuse me.
That's my opinion.
All right, what I want to do is we don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to transition into your coaching. You've hung up a Hall of Fame career as a player. You jump into coaching originally with Junior A, and you win Coach of the Year in '93. Now, we talked briefly on how you got into coaching. Let's get a little bit more in depth of where you coached and moving up towards, again, with the Brooklyn Redmen eventually.
Into the Brooklyn. Well, again, I went back to junior B. I had the midget team, and I took the kids, myself and Ian Wales. We took the midget team to the finals in Montreal, Ontario. So we took that whole group of kids.
There's some news that just broke in the New York Times about something we talked about and asked about. It's now on the record from
We took a bunch
Carroll's
of kids,
attorney, Robbie Kaplan. She says, quote, everything is on the table.
How do I turn this off? Thank you. Holy mackerel.
Sorry about that, Wayne.
Sorry, holy mackerel. I put my elbow down on my remote and turned the TV on.
I thought it was commercial time.
No.
So we took a group of kids all the way from the paperweight group age, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever it was then. I can't remember honestly. We took them through till to junior, in the first year junior, and we actually won the Founders Cup with a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds, and there's the odd 18-year-old on that team. And it was very unfair to the Junior A program when all those kids wanted to stay with myself and Ian with the Greengill organization when they should all been playing Junior A. They didn't at the time. They didn't want all those players. They didn't see any need for it. But after they seen them play Junior B, they really changed their mind on how well developed those guys are. We treat them like a Junior A team when they were playing in Pee Wee. When they were in novice back then, when they were in novice, we had them in the major Pee Wee house league to make them better players because they didn't have enough players at the Whitby minor organization at the time.
Right. Okay, I want to. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to move towards how did you and Neil get involved with the Netherlands and for the Robeski tournament and all the other things that you guys are ahead of now?
I coached Neil in the professional league. I was in Columbus in the pro league NLL, and they wanted me to quit my job to move down to Arizona the next year, and I was a supervisor at the town of Whitby, and it was kind of hard to give up my job and my career for lacrosse at that time when I was moving up the ladder on my position, and Neil was one of my players that I had in Columbus, and he called me to say that he needs a hand, he needs help. And he said that it's over in Amsterdam, and he had coached before that was the field program, and now he wanted to get the box program up and running. And I said, whoa, no thanks. And he says, well, they're going to go to Finland for 2 weeks, and that was for the European Championships. And I said, well, it's Himden Ha, no thanks. And then he says, well, they're paying for you and your expenses to get there. And I said, when are we leaving? So we got there, and it's been an eye opener that across the world that they want to learn, and you have a 3-hour practice, but you can't have that 3-hour practice here in Canada because they'll think you're nuts because anything over an hour and a half they've had enough anyway. But those guys would stay there for 4 or 5 hours afterwards and review exactly what was being taught. And it's still being like that. So right now we're trying to restructure the Netherlands lacrosse, box lacrosse, both girls and boys, to make it a lot better for everybody involved.
Right. And you've gotten one particular investor that's really taken a keen interest in your program.
Yeah, we have an investor, but there's a twofold thing. It'll take a long time to explain, but the Dutch were the first people to meet the natives, Oksani people, coming up the Hudson River, and there's a whole thing about how their flag goes, the rivers cross, and it's on their purple and white flags and stuff like that. How they didn't want the trade companies in writing on paper because paper can get lost or burnt or whatever. So they made beads, and this is where our investor is part of that movement, and it's totally fitting that the World Championships are held in Utica this coming year, which is part of the native lands all down through there. So we're really excited about what's going to happen here with the Dutch program, especially because we're going to be part of the ceremonies and stuff like that outside of the World Championships.
Well, they moved big, because from 2017 and not being able to win a game to last year finishing 11th in the European Championships in Hanover, that's astounding for an improvement for a program.
I like to think it's a coaching, but it's not. It's we got players and you got rules to follow. When I first took the program, they were probably at a peewee level skill wise, and then what we did is we worked with them and worked with them, and then we went to the Worlds, and we did exceptionally well at the Worlds because they took us very lightly, and we beat the Ireland team, and then I think we ended up in 8th spot, if I'm not mistaken, and then the what do you call it? Europeans the following year, they didn't quite bring the team that they were supposed to bring. Right.
Well, I want to thank the team anyways, because I got one of your sweatshirts now. These are fantastic.
Yeah, they are. You lucked out with that one.
Yeah, these are spectacular. I want to thank everybody for it. To watch, how did the team get involved in the Rubeski tournament?
Well, over there's no teams. No, I shouldn't say teams. They got a few teams. They got Germany, they got Belgium, and they got France. And that is one of the tournaments that they look forward to showcase their talents. And again, we're restructuring how we're doing things there, and we're gonna try and use that for better usage with both the tournaments back-to-back weekends that are there.
Right. Now, you took me through a tour of the barracks where they're changing and everything like that, and it was just a sea of equipment. But you told me one thing that was really heartwarming, is that there's never a piece of equipment that goes missing. The lacrosse community is such that everything is everybody's and it's theirs, and you never have to worry about that stuff. And if you saw it, it's a sea of equipment in there.
Well, they got 24 teams dressing in one basically gymnasium, and there is equipment everywhere. You got to step on somebody's equipment just to get to where you're going to go sit. And as you've seen, Gary, nobody was missing anything. As a matter of fact, anyone who finds stuff, they bring it to the front there, and it's like a lost and found. And you go back next year, and the same stuff's there because people thought that somebody had stole it, but it's far from the truth. It's incredible how they do stuff like that. Like, that would never happen here in Canada or United States.
Right, because the way the whole tournament was set up, it was my first time to see it, is fantastic. I got to admit, I was overwhelmed. One, with the talent, and two, with the way it was set up and the way everybody was while they were there. It really was a fantastic spectacle.
Gary, can you imagine them doing that in even in Ontario or BC or anything like that? That whole venue, that whole everything. How many people would be fighting each other or not getting along? Whereas over there, everyone got along. Everybody was like, there was zero arguments. I never seen anything that was out of the norm, and that it was a pleasure to be there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was almost, saddened when it was over. Mind you, we had a game and a half for a championship game too, that came right down to the wire of the last game for an 11-10 Nova Scotia win. So we got heart-stopping thing right down to the very last second. And that fireworks display was another spectacular 5-minute event too.
That was a total spectacular event. Like, the game was good. The people were like, there had to be. How many people were watching that? 2,000, 3,000 people?
It was jammed in there. Yeah, all day long. It just kept growing and growing and growing. It was wall-to-wall people, and it looked like Woodstock because it rained during the day, so the ground was muddy. But I didn't stop anybody. It didn't stop anybody's fun either.
Because we lost and we had to get up really early. You were still in bed about 8 o'clock. We had hail. We had hail on the floor, on the field. We got pictures of it. It was full of ice.
I was on my way over, I believe, at that stage. Still riding the trolley to Radisson.
Can you imagine playing lacrosse in Canada or United States when it was pouring down rain like it was? They didn't even stop. Referees didn't even stop. They kept on playing.
Yeah, and at one point I saw one of the referees take off their helmet because they couldn't see with the shield, so they played without a helmet.
Yeah. And
here, if we have a little bit of sweat on the floor, we stop the game and we call it.
Yeah, exactly. And you seen that one. The one referee was being tutored by another referee, running behind the young kid that was learning. And you would never see that here. But I thought that was an awesome idea that they're running behind and telling them where they should be and, put them in the position they should be. Like, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I also love the clinic for the little kids to get them involved the second last day and have them all come on the field and with all the players and have clinics. What better way to learn and grow the game?
100%. And all those kids didn't speak English, but they totally understood what you were doing or what things you're giving them to teach them how to pick the ball up, how you could pass and catch it, but none of them spoke English.
Right. A universal game, right?
Yeah, it was great.
I honestly...
anyone's never been there.
Yeah, I've been saying that too. Anybody who's never had a chance should get out there and see it because it's only getting stronger and better. And, the skill quality is insane from every team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's skill quality in all the teams. Well, there's 24 teams, and the first 15 get an invite back, and then you gotta reapply to be from 15 to 24 teams, or they got other people lined up to come in.
Right. Where did the Netherlands finish in this tournament this year?
Oh, way down the ladder.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's sarcasm. 23rd.
Next year will be a better year.
Yeah, but that wasn't the Netherlands team.
Mm-hmm. But
timing is everything.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, they had a mismatch of players that personally they're great guys, but they didn't personally help. What I was trying to do is develop players in the Netherlands, and that's one of the restructured things that we're going to look at.
Right, and teams preparing now for the 2024 Worlds now, right?
We are, yes. We're preparing for it. I'd like to think we're going to be in the top 10, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
They are, they deserve it. They're going to work hard, but to be 12th would be probably a great point to be trying to target to get at, because there's some good teams, and some of those teams picked up and developed some of their own players.
Right.
Room to grow.
I want to thank you, Wayne, for taking your time with us and discussing the programs and your career. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, anytime. I really appreciate you thinking about me and getting me on your show to give my point of views. But sometimes it's not the best thing for the way I say things.
Don't worry about that.
Never worry about that. Yeah. Got to keep it candid.
It's only my personal opinion.
That's okay. We're all entitled to an opinion. Nobody's trying to hammer any ideas down anyone's throat. But without conversation, we don't come up with the best answers.
Yeah, I would like to see the professional league go, and I'd like to see the major series league go across Canada. Wherever they have it, the senior B leagues. Get them going, because all those kids that are starting they want a place to end up playing because they look up to these people. And that's one of my pet peeves is those guys diving, because all the kids think they should be doing that too. And somebody's going to get hurt, and I wish they would stop that somehow.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well, let that be the last word. Really appreciate you doing this with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Gary. For Gary Groob and Wayne Colley, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching NLL Lacrosse Talk, seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Lacrosse Talk and news, entertainment, and other sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget Candid Frank Stanisci on YouTube. Subscribe. Check out all the shows we've done in the past. Thanks for tuning in. See you next Thursday.